All right. Let's see. Let's see if I can. Let me see if I can add on the fly. Yeah, I just because of my current window capture, maybe. Yeah, let's try window capture. Select program, Lightburn, add source. Well, that's not exactly what I wanted, but you get the idea. When you do tumblers, do you have to paint only? So with tumblers, the tumblers have to be powder coated, and then you just remove the powder coat from it. My laser doesn't etch metal; it only does. Oh, I wasn't quite fully set up. I think I have this set up for a different machine. Hold on. Let's just do that. Oh, let's do that. Nope, that must be right. When you do tumblers, do you have to paint only bare ones, or is it all? Uh, like I take a fresh powder coated tumbler and go from there. I will then etch out there. I mean, you could take one that's been used, but it's not easy to align them. All right, so we already did those. Let's get rid of them. Get. All right, I just need to set up a couple more files here. Group them. I have a whole list of crap to do. And I don't know who this is for. Now that I see Welcome Center, that's interesting. But I group. You can do powder coat it, you can do paint it, and you can do anodized tumblers, at least with my machine. Now I know there's machines I think that can etch the metal. I just don't have that style machine. Welcome everybody. I am just lasering some two-tone acrylic with my Eon Mira 9. I forgot to set up the file, so that's what I'm doing right now. Group. Just making everything the same size, make my life easier. I did not think about. I wonder if I probably can't switch. I think once I start, you can't switch. I should have just did it sideways from the start. That's all right. That's all right. Group it. One more and we'll get going. I can't remember all the materials. I can go with the one I have. I'll look it up in a second. All right, let's. Okay, I'm gonna make that two liner. Group. Center. Group. I'll make it 69 wide. And how tall is that? Nope, can't check that. That looks good. Alright, so obviously you can't see Lightburn that well. Sorry about that. Didn't even think about it. I'll go sideways next time so when I switch back and forth, you can actually see it. Get rid of Lightburn. Completely forgot about that. Alright, so let's... I think we're good on dimensions. So I'm not sure how much you could see, but I have there's a selection in the options that says optimize setting to remove overlapping lines, so that if I butt them all up together, I can then not have to cut out. There won't be gaps between them. It'll just you know, it cuts the first one and then just use the rest. Alright, there we go. And while this is going, I will work on getting the next ones done. I don't know what I just clicked. Yes. Well, when I first did it, I was overlapping them, and it was cutting all the square. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel right. So then one would fall, and then it would get nicked by the next one. I was like, oh, that's not good. Hello, Granny Woodworks. Hello, John B. Welcome. Any questions, please feel free to ask. Oh, that last one's off just a fat hair. All right, so I'll have to cut the last one off. See, I must have used this on a different software. Or a different sheet. Because I thought they all fit. Womp womp. They all fit when I had a space. Dodo. That's exactly what it was. Mommy, wow. I'm a dipshit now. So this will be just the first pass, and then we will work on the second pass, and then the third pass. Third pass usually does a pretty good job of cleaning it up. I did a test one earlier, actually, and 2 worked, but 3 looks better. Yeah, it takes a little more time, but that's life. Easier to clean up. Exactly. I have no idea where these are going. I mean, I know the general person don't see them, but the inspector and the electrician do. Alright, so I need to lop off the last one. undo. V, ungroup, cut off the bottom, and group. Well, thankfully the electricians don't care as much as I think everybody would hope. It just has to look the part and be up to code. That's really all that matters. But yes, I have dealt with the person like, it's just like a millimeter too big. So when I worked on the racing simulator, the people were, my boss was like, so like we would get tracks or wherever, we'll say a track, say Daytona Speedway, example. And if they would be like, do your best to be as accurate as possible with the props. But if something was slightly off, like outside the racing surface, our boss was like, if they notice that, say, a Porter John is a couple feet different, then they're probably not doing their job right if they notice something not pertaining to racing is wrong. They're like, I think you should be worried about racing, the car and the track, versus, hey, that billboard's not really the right billboard. I was like, solid point. Very solid point. Hi, Barb. I was in full working mode. I'm working in Lightburn as this is working. Trying to get the next one ready to go. Should have peeled the plastic completely off. And that last one's gonna womp womp. Which box? When this is done, lasering. I had a guy tell me an eyebrow that was, yeah. All we can do is get close enough. Yeah, what's funny is when I started working in 3D printing, when I started, how many labels? Yeah, I actually have to do like 80 labels. I just figured I'd do some tonight because I got Christmas crap tomorrow. Like the guy's on vacation, but I just figured it'd be nice to knock some out now, get them going. So I had a whole thing set up in Lightburn to cut them based off the sheet. But I had spaces in between them, not realizing that when I jammed them all together, the sizing is now different, like Dodo. Like I added one on the bottom thinking I had space, but I think it was for a different size sheet. Oh well. Now I know. Remove the last one. Oh, so when I started 3D printing, I came from racing simulator to 3D printing. And the biggest 3D print I ever did would be ever in the 5 years I've been 3D printing would be the smallest thing I would have modeled for a racetrack. It's weird. Like a cone would kind of be the smallest thing. I mean, I guess I modeled a lug nut, so maybe, but I don't really do cars. But overall, it was like a cone would be about the smallest thing on a track. So how do I price my work down? I'm a nerd and I have a spreadsheet. For my 3D prints, somebody gave me this, and they did it as a lot of it's based off of what filament you use. I want a 3D of Voltron figure. I've been wanting to do that. I've been wanting to 3D print, like, I don't have the space right now, but maybe if I do the top half. Like, I need to reorganize my area, but I'd love to have a full-size character. Like Uncle Jesse on YouTube. He does crap like that all the time. I thought it would always be fun. Yeah, I love my spreadsheets. Google Sheets is my absolute go-to. For 3D printing, somebody gave me this formula, and overall, I kind of not live by it, but massage a little is 14 cents a gram, but it depends on your filament. So a little more expensive, like TPU or ABS, whatever, you might have to. Well, hello, Creations. Bye. Goodbye. Do you offer free shipping? Not free. There's a wiggle room, maybe 15 cents, but it's a solid. I do feel like 15 or 16 cents per gram now. And then this stuff is, I figure out the cost per square inch, and then I have a spreadsheet that I say, all right, it's this per square inch, because I have a spreadsheet. Shocker, I know. And then I have, I just plug in, like, I need 10, and they're 1x3, and then it tells me my cost. And then off to the right, like if I need to add any more expense, like time, but I usually do it after the fact. It'll then tell me like 1 time, 2 times, 3 times cost type thing, and then work from there. And then I will go to like an Etsy or Google, companies that are similar, and see what they're charging. So like for my stickers, I can't compete with a Sticker Mule. They're pumping out thousands of stickers, tens of thousands of stickers with huge equipment. I can't compete. So I am what I am. So I just have to use my spreadsheet. Like, I know it costs, say, a quarter, so I might do 50 to 75 cents. And then if they buy in bulk, then I have wiggle room to go down to discount it a little bit, that type of stuff. But everybody asks, what are my prices? I'm like, I don't know. I need my spreadsheet. Yeah, the Cura slicer and the Creality slicer, and it does make it a little bit easier when it tells you cost. I mean, you just got to make sure you go in and plug it in. But that's where the wiggle room comes in. So I might do a part, and I might have two parts, and they might have the same weight, but one could be 2 to 3 hours longer. So there's added expense off that time, added, because of the time. So just because of that 0.14, doesn't always work if one is 2 hours and one is 5 hours. Because at that 4-hour mark, it could fail. So you have to add in, hello, LeBron 3D printing. You have to add in that time of, if it does fail, you got to add that little bit of cost in. Because it's 3D printing, you will have failures. You might have it at the 5-minute mark, or the 10% mark, or you might have it at the 95% mark. You just don't know. So you got to work that into your cost a little bit, hoping you don't get it, but it happens. And then somebody comes in and be like, hey, I need 20 of these. What kind of rate can you do? And then you have a little wiggle room in there to drop the price a little. Line up the first couple hours. Yeah. So what I always do is I monitor that first couple layers. I always monitor it. And once those layers get going, then I kind of ignore it. But I always take a peek every so often. I mean, I usually don't print and run. I say that, but there's numerous times at night I've kind of tucked my printers in and said goodnight. And then just fingers crossed, I'd wake up in the morning and not have the blob of death. No, I don't. I have not. Everything I 3D model my own, so I haven't really needed the scanner. While the scanner would be fun, I don't know what I would use it for, other than for silly crap. Now, I actually went to Micro Center Black Friday, and they had a whole display of the Creality scanner, and it was neat. I mean, it was a pretty cool concept. But back to, like, my son and I were watching, and it's just like, I don't know what I'd use it for, because I model all of my own stuff, so that I'm not printing what everyone else is printing. Scan parts. True. But there's not many things that I print that aren't custom. That's my thing. I do a lot of craft supplies. Tim, don't use the scanner much? Gotcha. I like the idea of... Did I just do the same panel? No, I didn't. Okay, no, I thought I just made a mistake. Did the same thing twice. I just don't... with my business model per se, because I don't do toys, I don't do... Hi, Jenny Lynn. I don't do fidgets or Most of my stuff is somebody will come to me and say, hey, I need this part for whatever function. And then I just figure it out. Now scanning it, how's Jenny today? Now scanning it, if they had a physical part, yeah, that would be, like, my thought process is when I cross that bridge, I'll look into that. But I've printed parts actually for a company, a promotional company that made displays for K&N air filters. But since K&N did the product, where they were sending out for a mold, I had the CAD drawings for it. So I didn't have to guess on dimensions. They supplied the file. So if you've never 3D modeled, what I would suggest is starting with a Tinkercad to just kind of get your feet wet and learn the process. Tinkercad's a good, free, browser-based to get into the mindset of how to do that kind of stuff. And I feel once you get used to Tinkercad a little bit, then you can kind of work your way from there, like to a Blender or Fusion 360. Now, I am an oddball, but I can't remember the one I used that I was playing with. There's a bunch out there. Barb, what do you use? Do you create any of your models, or you download everything? Fusion 360 and Blender, yeah. They're like, you could use a personal license for 360, and Blender is a free software. There's others out there. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I just suggest trying Tinkercad first. Make something, print it, and then kind of go from there. Now I use 3ds Max because that's what I had to use for the racing sim. I haven't tried any of those AI ones yet. I want to. It'd be fun. I just haven't tried it yet. It's one of those, I wonder how well it will work. Oh, okay. Yeah, I started 3D modeling. It works good. I can't remember the price though. Gotcha. So yeah, I started back in the day. I only raced on consoles. Nothing special. And then I worked for a race team. I was a Jackman mechanic. FreeCAD, that's it. Thank you, Barb. FreeCAD's a good one. It's a newer free CAD-based style software. Use SolidWorks. My brother-in-law's a engineer, and he was like, "You need to learn CAD so I can use you." I was like, "I think I got the basic down of a 3ds Max." No, but so I was in the race shop. We went upstairs to do vinyl for the truck, and he goes, "Hey, did you ever race this game before?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And it was on the PC. It was NASCAR Racing 2003. And I'm like, "Oh, this is neat. Like, this is different." Graphically, at the time, this was probably 2002, 2003. It was nice. It was a lot better than anything I've raced on the console. And he goes, oh yeah, but we can race together. And I'm like, what? I didn't know that, like, that wasn't a thing, it's early internet days. So I went home. And the next day, my brother worked for a company that built computers. I mean, for offices, but I was like, I didn't care. And I said, hey, I need a new PC. Built a PC, and then unhooked my PlayStation, never played it again. I might need to use it. You taught them how to use it? Nice. So then one of the guys that we raced with on the race team said, hey, do you want to make a track? And I'm like, I don't know how to make a track. He goes, well, neither do I, but we can figure it out. I'm like, all right, what the hell? So we made the track, which the software, or the game had its own software to put the tracks together, but you can make stuff in it, but not really. Not 3D wise. You can make the track base, but not objects. So then one day, maybe 4 or 5 tracks in, gotcha. About 4 or 5, maybe, say 3 to 4 tracks in, he's like, we were doing Langley Speedway, and outside Langley Speedway, there's a huge wind tunnel. And the way we would do a building like that is we would just have a flat billboard image of the building, and then erase out through, like a GIF, not a GIF, a transparent background, transparent out all the parts that you didn't want to see, and then it looked like off in the distance a building. So he asked me to redo the billboard. What I heard was he asked me to redo the wind tunnel. And I'm like, all right, cool, let me see what I can do. So about a week later, I send him a 3D model of the wind tunnel. And I said, hey man, this took longer than anticipated. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And I'm listening to him. He opens it up, and all I hear is, what the F is this? I'm like, whoa, calm down. I was like, this is the first time I've ever done. He goes, no. I didn't know we could do this. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I didn't know we could make our own 3D models. And from that point on, we started 3D modeling all of our own stuff. So I misheard him, and that's how I started 3D modeling. And I enjoy that part of it. Because before, if we had a 2-story building, we had to take single-story buildings and stack them and hope for the best. And now we just made whatever we wanted. And then from that point on, also, we started putting joke props and miscellaneous stuff that really aren't in the tracks. So like one of them was, we were at Michigan Speedway, and we got a picture by our car on pit road, and I took us and cropped us out of the image and put us standing outside the girls' restroom. Didn't tell anybody. Somebody was going through the pits and just looking around and just happened to catch. They're like, wait a minute, are people standing there? And then they realized it was us. But that's how I started. But it was a long process. It's not a hobby that people pick up overnight. It requires some effort. There are the disgusting people that will, like, oh, let me just start doing this, and then boom, they know exactly what they're doing. I am not that person. So was that panel LS? All right. Good. Let me check them. I'll let that run for a minute. This acrylic reeks. I think that's the only problem with acrylic. It smells. Yeah, there was a lot of trial and error, I'll give you that. And we had to export out as a certain file format and then use their software to convert it. So there was a lot of, I don't think we were supposed to necessarily put our own 3D models in these tracks, but we figured out how to do it. For like one of the games I actually beta tested for, I asked the devs when we were testing one day, I said, hey, have you guys ever thought about like drag racing or point-to-point racing? And they said, no, the game's not built like for that. I said, but it is. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, if you do this, it then does this. And they actually made me send them the code of how I did that. And they were floored because they never thought about it. So the way the game worked is you actually created the tracks, and then you would be able to create where the start finish line is. And then we found out that you can actually put multiple start finish lines in a track. So a drag strip, the starting line and the finish line. And then boom, you have your start and finish. And they didn't know that was possible. And I might have got called choice words jokingly, but I got called choice words because that's not something I ever thought about. I said, I was just trying it, see what would happen. I'll see those all look good. All right, let me adjust this. All right. Back you up. Whoop. Oh, well, that cut good. That's good to know. God, this stuff's sticky. God, it still smells. Not near the computer. Give me a second. Alright. Here's this back. Lower you back down. Try not to give everybody motion sickness. You know what? Let's put it back up. There we go. That works. Nope. Hey, Tim. You too, bud. Have a good Christmas. All right, let's see. How's this work? All right, that looks better. May the force be with you. But I had all the 3D modeling experience to then just to start, working on 3D models. So I downloaded my first couple sets of files, and I was printing. I was printing. The hell was I printing? Ear savers for my wife. And there we go. Copy, paste. Because she was a nurse at the hospital. And about that time, I got a cameo, a silhouette cameo, which then turned into joining some groups because I wanted to do tumblers. And then someone said, hey, make me a tumbler, or make me a tumbler stand. Can you do that with your 3D printer? I'm like, yeah, I think I can do that. And now we're 5 years later. It's just one of those, you kind of find your lane. Like you printed those batteries, you know, that could be something you find. And now I'd be careful with the PLA. PLA will bend with heat. But just find your avenue of what your area wants. Hello, the laser nerd. And kind of once you find your avenue, then start expanding from there. Mira 9, correct. 100 watt. Now the catch with the dragons is that everybody does them. So it's not a unique. Nope, I've had this for a year and a half. I missed out, so I bought mine, and then in traditional fashion, I bought mine, and then like a month later, they announced the red line. So I completely missed out on all that. Or I'd have a red line. Probably a 7 with the red line, but I sadly missed out. Yeah, everybody and their brother does dragons. I kind of felt that a little bit. I think, was it one of them though? Like the lens swap was pretty easy, but outside of that, it was what, just faster? I think overall that was kind of the big difference. You know, good and bad. And it would have cost me more, so. Yeah, once this batch finishes, I'm done too. I don't know who I was watching when I first started. What was it? It was like a online laser convention, and Ian was the sponsor. And I think that I did get a ton of free crap though with mine. See, I had 100 sheets of leatherette, 100 sheets of acrylic, an entire sample box of like a dozen tumblers, some cutting boards, coasters, blah blah blah, and I got a Pyburn 4. Jeff, you have a great Christmas, bud. Thanks for hanging out. I wish I would have done a little more research because those would have been nice to. I just didn't know, really. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I just didn't know. Live and learn. Yeah. I will say I do like my Mirror 9. It's. I'm trying to think. I have one quirky issue with it. Outside of that, I really haven't had any problems with it. On the rare occasion, it's only happened like 2 or 3 times. I will turn it on, and then it will go into this like crawl mode and a goofy whine, and I'll say jog it to the left, and it's and when I let go, it moves a little bit, and it's like, what is going on here? But then when I frame it out or do a small job, it then goes, oh no, I'm fine. Like it just needed to get up and stretch a little. Connection starter between the controller and stepper. Is there a way to fix it? Or does it just do what I do, kind of? 17. Or just a restart or force a job and that kind of resets itself? Okay, I'll check that next time. Or tomorrow when I have daylight. I have. It's been a while since I popped off the panels and kind of grazed over everything. I'm probably due. My Christmas season is finally done. Yeah, because once I jog that, I send anything, it frames it perfectly fine. It's just when I try to manually move it. But that's very par for me. I want to say outside that though, I have bent my fair. I've bent 2 of the autofocus pins. Thankfully, they send you multiple, and everybody I talk to says they remove it. I'm one bent pin away from removing it. I have another lens to put in. I have the 2-inch lens. I just haven't got around to putting it in because I can't tell the difference if it's which way it bends. But outside of that, it's been a solid laser. It just works. Also, for those jobs, it might be faster instead of 2 passes to a sub-layer pass. Sub-layer pass, that's a 180 scan angle. Honestly, I don't know what that means. I'm not even going to act like I understand that one. I will say 90% of my settings, or what I do, is reading the forums. It is what it is. I just find an answer, it works, and that's what I use till I'm told different. Oh, okay. It will go from the bottom to the top and the top to the bottom. Sub-layer pass. Is that in reduce travel moves? I guess that's a light burn setting. Sub-layer pass. In your light burn layer setting, click the plus icon and add a sub-layer. Okay. I got the sub-layer. I don't ever think I ever clicked the plus to know what that was for. Do you add that sub-layer as the same settings as the first layer, or is it just a... Let me screenshot that. So I want to research that more. All right, thanks so much. And then change the angle. All right, I'll research that more when I'm off the live. I appreciate it. I'm pretty sure I follow you. I thought I followed you. I follow you. I follow you now. Problem is, there's so many people laser something in their name, so I probably thought I followed you. Either or. Thank you back for the follow. Appreciate it. I know your logo looks familiar, so I've seen you before. I don't know. I appreciate it though. Yeah, I screenshotted your everything you said there. So when I originally did the Decal Ranch logo, I didn't print anything, didn't have laser. Hell, I didn't even have a 3D printer yet. I purely did it thinking I'm going to cut this out of vinyl, so I want to keep it simple. So that's why it's black and white, not a lot of crazy to it. And then a year later, I bought a printer, and then I never cut it out of vinyl again. I just, kiss cut or perf cut, and that was it. But I don't have the artistic fortitude to create a new logo. Yeah, I know I've seen. Now, I used to follow you. I know damn well I used to follow you. I don't know why. Because now I'm looking at your stuff. I'll blame my kids. That's a solid logo. I couldn't draw it. That's the other thing. I'm not a drawer. It took all my willpower just to do the Decal Ranch one. I haven't upgraded yet. I'm still on 1 point something. I get the pop-up because I haven't researched it that much. What am I on? I'm on 1.7. Because I know people were having issues right off the bat, but that's any software that's going to happen. 87,000 different lasers. One of them's going to have a hiccup or two. But I also think my license is out now. You get your year of upgrades. I think I'm out of that now. Okay. Good to know. Barb, you have a great Christmas as well. Thank you so much for hanging out. You have a good night. Yeah, because it would make so much more sense. Sometimes in 3D printing, it'll do a layer and then reset itself. It's like, why don't you just start back from where you were? That don't make any sense. And this does the same thing. It goes down and then goes all the way back down. It's like, you were already up top. Just start back up there. You'd think it would be, what did I do? Reduce travel moves, choose best direction. Nope. Learn something new every day. Hello, Mike. Hello, Bean. Welcome. Just cutting some labels on two-tone acrylic on my Eon Mirror 9. play with lasers, I play with UV printers, I play with eco-solvent printers, and I play with 3D printer. Basically, if it has printer in it, I kind of mess with it. How thick is the sheet? It's 1/8. Not 1/8. This is 1/16. I used to have 1/8. I ran out. This is 1/16 inch. It's just black on top, white side. It's not tri-layer, it's dual layer. They're 4 electrical panel boxes. They don't need to be that thick. Guys, like, I just glue it on there and then we're set. No one ever messes with them. I don't know if there's any. Is there anything thinner than 1/16? You know what? My settings were set up for the 1/8 too, so I could probably do 2 passes. It'd be perfectly fine. I think I got this from CMB. Gonna need to order some more. I'd love to try the Tri acrylic for hats. I've seen a few people make some really interesting patches with the 3 color. Do you have a laser beam? .05. What do you got? God, .05. That's thin. Is the F1 the? Is it the fiber one? I looked into Xtool when I got this. They were all too small. I mean, this isn't the size I wanted to begin with, but this is the biggest machine I could get and get it in my basement. I hit my limit with this. Not easy. We actually had to nail 2x4s to the stairs. That's the F1 Ultra. Okay. I know the S1. I can't remember the F1. Now I gotta research it. Xtools F1. Oh yeah, the little fiber one. Or diode. Was it light? Diode laser. Yeah, that's it. Gotcha. All right. It's 11:30 here.